You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, Olson's Ace Hardware in Parsons hosts a clinic to help residents learn how to properly take care of American flags.
Plus, kids in Humboldt spend some time on Saturday learning about bike safety.
And we've got some patchy fog out there this morning. Otherwise, we will be below average again today. We'll have a look at that forecast. Get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. Just after 7 a.m. on this Monday morning, we're live on Fox 14, streaming anytime on the KOAM Plus app. So thank you for joining us wherever you may be this morning.
Absolutely.
And even though the 4th of July is over,
right,
there's still always time to learn about proper flag etiquette.
Yes, there is. The stars and stripes on the American flag makes it one of the most recognizable objects in the United States. But do you know the proper ways to respect it?
KOAM's Samantha Walker visited Olson's Ace Hardware store in Parsons, where kids and their families got the chance to learn firsthand.
We honor them all here. I just feel like that's what we need to do.
The American flag is seen by many as the symbol of freedom, as well as a way to respect those who have served our country. And for Gina Fote, who comes from a military family, it's important to her that veterans in her community are shown the proper respect.
You're free to be who you want to be because these people fought for that. You're free to think what you want because they fought for that. You can think whatever you want, but you need to appreciate the people who made that possible for you. And for me, that's important.
She organizes a monthly kids hour at Olson's Ace Hardware in Parsons. This month, she decided to help teach kids about the history of the U.S. flag and how to properly respect it. When word of her idea got around, others quickly offered to help, donating snacks, supplies, and even bringing old military vehicles to display.
We've had a whole lot of people in our community that I started with a tiny idea that I knew that I wanted to do, and it just grew, like messages from friends. Can we do this? Let's add this.
VFW Post 704 held a flag-raising ceremony and taught families how to raise a flag, when it should come down, and the proper way to fold it.
One of the important things about today is that people realize that there is an honor that goes with our American flag. There's a rich history, and many soldiers have spent their last breath for what our American flag represents.
For event organizers, they say it's a rewarding feeling to see kids so excited to learn more about the American flag.
I just want to make sure they know how to show respect, know how to respect others, and show respect to our veterans, to our American flag. That is important for me to make sure all kids know that.
Reporting in Parsons, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
During the event, Olson's Ace Hardware also held its back-to-school drive.
Many attendees donated school supplies for local kids as a thank you for the free event. Certainly, it's a win-win all around. Getting to learn how to properly take care of the flags, and whether we like it or not, it's getting close to back-to-school season, so you get to scoop up some supplies.
Absolutely.
Thankfully, it's not quite yet time to go back to school, but that is around the corner. We are dealing, though, with patchy fog this morning, and we can see that from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Got a few clouds out there, and we've still got some of that patchy fog to contend with as well. As you can see off in the distance, you can see it also from our camera, 7 and range line out there, and we've got below normal temperatures to start the day too, and some light fog still visible from the MoDOT camera at 20th and range line in Joplin. Fog tracker showing us where some of that dense fog is. A lot of it's been right along the I-44 corridor, but it's thickened back up here into Jasper, Lawrence, Berry counties, and Newton counties now. So Mount Vernon under 2 miles visibility. So do again, slow down. use your low beams, not your high beams, because that does nobody any good. And just be prepared, because it is also fairly patchy in nature. I mean, take a look at the different visibilities across the area this morning. You could come up on it rather abruptly. So again, just make sure you're ready for that. Future track heading into today, again, it's showing an isolated shower or two. Honestly, the chance is less than 10%. The majority of us will be dry. We'll have slightly better rain chances tomorrow. We'll get to that in the full forecast in a moment. Take a look at these temperatures, though. Average low is about 70. We're in the upper 50s, low, mid, and upper 60s out there. So again, a well below normal but pleasant start to the day. Average high is about 90. We're going to go low to mid 80s. We'll see a few extra clouds this afternoon, going partly cloudy. And then we'll start to clear out tonight, and then we'll have those slight rain chances tomorrow. Now, we're going to return to normal, which means it's going to feel hot, but it's going to be seasonably hot. We'll discuss those details in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the George Washington Carver National Monument yesterday hosted classes about peanut milk. Participants not only made peanut milk, but were also told about the versatility of the peanut. Carver was a big proponent of not only the peanut, but crop rotation as well.
So I get to connect with people. They love making peanut milk. The curiosity that they have when they're first holding that peanut, wondering how we're going to make milk, and going through step by step with them and just watching the transformation from taking the peanut and turning it into milk. Many people are just absolutely amazed.
Well, here's a fun fact about the peanut if you didn't already know. It's actually a legume because it grows in a pod. Well, the start of school isn't far off, and kids across the 4 states are getting ready to take their seats. With the new school year comes new bicyclists, with many students making the trip to school on 2 wheels. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on how one police department is hoping to help kids stay safe as they take to the streets.
You don't have to stay at home. You can go places. You have freedom.
Riding a bike is an exciting experience for many kids, allowing them to gain a little bit of independence.
Just going around town, going to all the stores, just hanging out with friends.
But riding a bike can be risky for kids. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in 2021, 38 kids under the age of 15 were killed while riding a bike, and more than 5,000 were injured. That's why Humboldt School Resource Officer Tyrone Wooden became concerned when he saw kids in his community being unsafe on the road.
I had probably 4 the other day that I just patrolling around, seeing them in town, and I had to pull over and stop and say, hey, you need to start riding your bike right. You're going to come to this bike safety that we're putting on tomorrow morning. And the parents is all for it.
Sergeant Wood and the Humboldt Police Department organized a free bicycle safety course for kids of all ages to attend. The course teaches attendees how to be cautious on the roads and how to interact with traffic. Completion of the course earns a certificate and a free helmet.
You have the little kids that are already riding bikes without training wheels, and you never know, they could wreck, and they couldn't wreck. If they're really good at it, they couldn't wreck.
And it's not just bikers who need to be safe on the road.
It's everybody's. Everybody has a role in this. If the kids know how to ride their bike, and the drivers know what ages are riding bikes and how to get over, how to slow down. I mean, everybody has a role in this. Everybody has a role in safety. Everybody's a safety officer, so that's how we look at it.
Participants at the training say it's a great feeling knowing that kids like them are going to be safer on the street.
It makes me feel good now that that more kids will be paying way more better attention after this, probably.
Just a big weight off my shoulder knowing that they got the right tools now to ride around town, ride to the gas station if they need to, ride to a friend's house, and knowing that they're doing everything safe to not get hit.
Reporting in Humboldt, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Humboldt Police Department says they hope to hold another bicycle safety class next month as a part of the town's 3rd Saturday activities. And those are our top stories this half hour. Coming up next, Lori Horton is back in the studio with us. She shows us her recipe for a pineapple upside down cake. Well, welcome back. Lori has been showing us her recipe for a pineapple upside down cake.
Yes.
Now we've kind of made our little pineapple marinade, or
yes,
I call it a little bit. So what's the next step?
So we started out with that base, which really is, of course, ends up being the top of our pineapple cake. So the most important step was to prep that pan really well so that everything turns out nicely after it bakes. And all we did was add a little bit of melted butter and some brown sugar into the bottom of that pan, let them kind of soak together a little bit, and then put in those pineapple rings and cherries that are going to look so cute when it all comes out of the oven. So for the actual cake batter, the really important ingredient that we're going to add here is we saved all of that pineapple juice out of the can. And if you really work hard and you squeeze those rings a little bit, you'll get almost exactly 1 cup of pineapple juice out of that 20-ounce can. If you don't quite get there, don't be afraid to add just a little splash of water to go ahead and get that liquid up to a cup, because we do need a cup of liquid to go in with that. So I'm going to start here with just a yellow cake mix, and you can kind of do, you know, any just general flavor of that. I think the yellow blends nicely with the pineapple, so always do that one. I've got 4 eggs here. We're not really going as usual off the box instructions. We're just using that dry mix as our kind of pre-measured base. We're adding that cup of pineapple juice, and then 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. And all I'm going to do is mix all of those ingredients together really thoroughly. You do want to make sure that they get totally incorporated so that everything is nice and smooth. And you don't necessarily have to do this with a mixer. You can just mix it by hand. It takes just a couple extra minutes, but it still comes out really nice and creamy. Once we get this totally mixed together, of course, we're going to pour this on top of our prepared pan. Now, my pan here has been setting for just a little bit, so the butter has kind of started to set back up, which is perfectly fine. You can do that over ahead and kind of set it aside while you mix the cake batter. That doesn't have to stay really soft and melted before you put it in the oven. Now, the pineapple juice in this is going to really give it a nice tang, but it's not going to overpower the nice softness of the cake. So it's a good combination. And a lot of people, you have a lot of different recipes out there. We want to keep in mind, pineapple upside down cake is a recipe that's been around since like the 20s. It's a favorite. A lot of people make it in a cast iron skillet. It's a really old school recipe that came about when pineapple in a can really became available in the United States, which was like 1925. So this one, Grandma's probably got a favorite recipe for a scratch mix of this for that batter, and that's great too. We're just trying to simplify it a little bit for you. And some have the pineapple juice in them, some do not. But I think myself, I really like to get that strong pineapple flavor in it, and that's the best way to do it, with the fresh juice. So we again want to make sure this is really nice and creamy. Mix it until all the lumps of that dry batter are out of it. And then once we put it in this pan, we want to take a few minutes to tap a lot of air bubbles out of that. Because obviously, again, with those rings and everything in there, you've got some places to get some really big trails. And so we're going to do that before we put it in the oven.
All right, sounds like a plan. When we come back, Lori's going to show us the finishing touches to her pineapple upside down cake. And we're back with Lori as she's showing us her recipe for the pineapple upside down cake. So what are the finishing touches to this recipe?
Finishing touches. We've got our batter really nice and creamy, all of those lumps out of it. I think, again, mixing it by hand, you kind of get less air bubbles in there, which is going to help with this particular recipe. So all I'm going to do now is just pour that slowly over the top of my pineapple rings and my maraschino cherries in there. Make sure you get all of that batter scraped in there. And this is going to be a cake that doesn't really rise to a big degree. So you don't have to worry about needing to level it or do anything crazy when it comes out of the oven. But it is really important that we get rid of some of these air bubbles first. So we're going to make a little noise here. We want to pat this on the counter. This is a really difficult technique, but it's so important. When we see those little bubbles, they start to come to the surface, they pop right out of there. You want to do that for several seconds, just gently, not a lot, not hard, but just let those bubbles kind of pop through. That's going to bake for, I did mine last night for about exactly 35 minutes at 350. And again, when it comes out, what's also nice is it's pretty flat along the bottom. So you don't really have to worry about anything when it comes to that as far as making it set nice on your plate. But it is very important we leave that in the pan for about 20 minutes to cool. And that's going to make it to where it's a little bit more comfortable for you to touch the pan, to turn it out safely without worry about burning your hands or anything. You'll just put your plate right on top of that pan and flip it right over. And if you really prepped your pan well and everything goes like it is supposed to, he will turn out and you'll have all of those pretty slices right on top and nothing stuck to the pan or out of place. The best addition to this is a little bit of fresh whipped cream.
Oh, yes.
Kind of just mixes well with that tanginess of the pineapple, and it's so nice with that bunt. But you get a really nice, dense crumb with this. It's a really soft, moist cake, and that pineapple juice in there just
super fluffy.
Keeps it so well. But you know, to make it pretty, you can top the center. That's why I love the bundt pan, because it sort of gives you that option if you're taking it somewhere. You can fill this with your whipped cream. Be simple, put some Cool Whip in there if you don't want to make that and whip it up from scratch. It holds up a little bit better if you're taking it to a barbecue or a cookout. But just really have some fun with that. You can top it with some pecans, goes really well with this, some extra cherries around the edge, just whatever you like. But you really get more pineapple flavor out of that with the juice.
And it's subtle and it's really nice.
Yeah, it's not overbearing.
If you're having issues, maybe if you thought that you prepped it well and you didn't, do you have some tips for getting it out of the bundt pan?
So have a good spatula. While the pan is still a little bit warm, after that 20 minutes, the pan's still going to be warm. You can kind of pull those little pieces out of there and gently lay them back on top and kind of bring that, you know, to an acceptable.
That's when you put the pecans on
that's when you put the whipped cream and all the stuff on top to kind of camouflage that a little bit. And it still tastes delicious. That's all that matters.
And it does. It really does taste delicious. Well, Lori, thank you so much for being with us again.
Of course.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 723, almost 724 on this Monday morning. We're starting with this, a live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Still got some of that patchy fog out there, and you can see it off in the horizon. And same from our camera at 7th and Range Line. If you look close enough into the tree line, you'll see still some light fog out there, but it is progressively beginning to burn off. Still some also on the MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line off in the horizon to the north. And same down in Neosho, a little cloudier out there, a little thicker fog in some locations, especially heading west here on 60. Just a heads up, and here's what it looks like on the fog tracker. So aside from Bentonville, just about everybody reporting some kind of reduced visibility, some not as much. I mean, Independence 9.9, Unlimited is 10. 8.1 in Fredonia, so some a little better, others not so great. Miami at 3.2 miles of visibility. So again, if you're traveling this morning, just be aware of this patchy fog. It's going to be the #1 hazard about it is the fact that it's patchy. You could go for a while with pretty decent visibility and then run into this thick layer of fog out there. So just use your low beams, not your high beams. Be prepared to slow down. Play it safe this morning. Future track as we head into the afternoon. Again, maybe an isolated shower. The chances are really less than about 10%. So that's why we're not putting them onto the forecast today, because really I think 99% of us will remain dry as we head through the afternoon today. Then we head into our Tuesday, and it won't be until the afternoon that we'll see another slight chance of some isolated showers, mainly into our far western counties, although a couple of stray showers outside of that zone will be possible. But again, the majority of us by Tuesday will still be dry. Then we'll head into our Wednesday, and as we go into Wednesday afternoon, that's when we start to see temperatures heating back up. We're going to go closer to normal across the area. So it's going to be hot compared to where we have been, but it's going to be seasonably hot as we go back into the upper 80s and low 90s. In Joplin right now, aside from the fog, skies are clear, 62. Wind is calm, and across the area, again, our average low is in the 70s, and we are well below that. Still some upper 50s in the southeastern Kansas. Jay has come back up to 70, but officially for record-keeping purposes, he fell below 70 this morning. Most of us still hanging out in the 60s as we get the day underway, and that's how it'll be. Fog should be done by about 8 o'clock this morning. Sunny skies, a few clouds here and there. Otherwise, upper 70s by 11 o'clock this morning. Into this afternoon, another below-average day as we go low-mid 80s. We'll see clouds increase a bit, partly cloudy skies, and again, a shower is possible, but again, 99% of it should be dry. Skies will clear out though as we head through the evening, mostly clear and cool by 10:71. Overnight lows below normal again, mid-60s, and we do have that possibility of some patchy dense fog once again as we go late night tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Again, an isolated shower to tomorrow. It's one of our better chances, and we start to warm up. Going upper 80s, low 90s Wednesday. Again, temperatures get hot, but they're seasonably hot as we head into the weekend and next week. Could see a few isolated, widely scattered thunderstorms Thursday and Friday. Not a bad weekend out there. I mean, toasty, but otherwise dry, and some additional shower chances next Tuesday. That is a check of your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
The interview set for the 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's just coming up on 7:30. I'm Elise Snowy. Southeast Kansas firefighters battle an intense house fire. It happened yesterday afternoon on Northwest 10th Street in Cherokee County. When firefighters arrived, the 2-story home already had flames coming through the roof. Shortly after, they witnessed the front portion of the house collapse. The home was deemed a total loss, and the family was not home at the time of the fire, and no injuries have been reported. Joplin first responders battled a structure fire Friday evening. Reports of smoke and flames from a building on North Connor came in just after 6:30. On arrival, crews witnessed flames coming through the roof, and crews had the fire under control in about 45 minutes. The Joplin Fire Marshal is investigating the cause. It was a warm day at Shoal Creek on Saturday as Wildcat Glades held their annual water festival. The event hosted shoebox, rubber duck, and cardboard boat races. The event is also to raise awareness of the importance of water in the environment.
I really like watching the cardboard boat race. I think that's pretty fascinating. People they build their own boat and then they race it down Shoal Creek. It's also fun to see the kids build their shoeboat boxes, and they come out in the spring and they also race those.
Area organizations like the Reddings Mill Fire Department were at the event to spread education about nature and water rescue. Well, pop culture and lovers of all things nerd culture united at Joplin High School. The event, called JomoCon, included around 50 vendors, a live-action role-play arena, a cosplay contest, and more. Panels from a variety of things, from Japanese traditional music to the history of giant robots, were also available.
Anime! Woo! We're here to celebrate some anime at the con.
I grew up in Frontenac, and seeing this so close to my hometown really made me want to come back. I would have loved to do something like this when I was a kid. I got a late start in this hobby because there wasn't anything around me, so I'm so glad that Joplin is starting something like this for creative kids like I used to be.
Proceeds from this year's convention will be donated to the Children's Haven of Southwest Missouri. Now here's Chris with a look at the forecast.
Yeah, as we've been mentioning through the morning, we've got some patchy fog here and there. We're starting to see it clear up a bit in some locations, not so much in others, so do keep that in mind. Live look from our camera 7th and Rangeline. Aside from the fog, though, clear skies overhead. Looking better from MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. Still a little bit of light fog here and there. And the fog tracker showing, with the exception at this point of Bentonville, everybody's got some kind of reduced visibility. So if you're out there traveling, just keep that in mind this morning. It's going to be patchy, which is the hazard with this fog, is because it's patchy, you could go for a while with fairly clear skies, fairly clear conditions, and then suddenly run into it. Miami, the lowest visibility right now, still at 3.2 miles out there. So just, again, keep that in mind, and remember, use your low beams, not your high beams. As the sun's coming out, that'll assist a little bit. Fog should burn off in the next, say 30, 40 minutes or so. As we went through the afternoon, again, future track painting, a shower or two. Chances, though, truly less than 10%. The majority of us will be dry as we head through the afternoon and into the evening hours across the area. Our temperatures well below normal still, with the exception of Jay, but even then, Jay was still below normal earlier this morning. Got some upper 50s, low, mid, and upper 60s out there this morning as we get the day started. And our highs today, once again, below normal. We're going to go low, mid 80s and see partly cloudy skies into the afternoon and early evening hours across the area. And then we're going to see temperatures gradually warming up. It's going to get hot, but it'll be seasonably hot. We'll talk about when that's going to happen in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, President Biden announcing he will not run for re-election, facing a reckoning over his age and ability to do the job in what appeared to be a long odds to beat Trump in November. With just over 3 months to go to Election Day, it's a dramatic development in the course of the race. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor reports.
President Biden is officially out of the 2024 race for the White House. It follows weeks of growing pressure from Democrats after his shaky debate performance highlighted concerns over his age and mental fitness. The president shared the news on X, saying in part, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intent to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." He said he would speak to the nation later this week. In the end, he decided on what Democrats are hoping will be a graceful exit. And with just about a month before the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, he's not taking any chances on a messy party fight, endorsing his Vice President Kamala Harris to take his place as the Democratic nominee, saying she's the candidate with the best chance to beat Donald Trump in the fall. It also allows her access to Biden's $250 million war chest without going through any lengthy legal proceedings that could have held up her campaign. Democrat leaders could move as early as next week to officially make Harris the nominee through a virtual roll call before their convention, though it's not clear if there are other contenders who might object. Biden is the first incumbent president in more than 50 years not to run for re-election, bringing an end to a half-century of public service and opening the door to a new generation of leadership. In Washington, D.C., Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. An Iowa grandmother is receiving viral attention after she recites an old slogan for one of her favorite products. In Consumer Watch this morning, American Airlines and its flight attendants reach a deal and hopefully put more summer airline travel snags out of reach. American says the company and the Association of Professional Flight Attendants have agreed to a new contract, giving flight attendants a pay raise. The Flight Attendants Association says the deal will also mean better compensation and work rules. Flight attendants and the union had previously rejected another offer of immediate and annual pay raises. Microsoft announces a new fix following a global tech outage incident. The software company releases recovery tools to help information technology administrators get their operations back online. A CrowdStrike faulty security update crashed Windows systems around the globe last Friday. Recoveries are available to fix both Windows pre-installation environment, also called WinPE, and recover from safe mode. The number of threats to pollinators is taking a toll on crops nationwide. A new report found the population of insect pollinators is dropping in the U.S., which is causing a decline in crops. The plant uses the pollen to produce a fruit or seed, but many pollinators are being threatened due in part to pesticides, climate change, invasive plants, and diminished habitats. Recent studies have shown a dramatic decline in bees, which are the primary pollinators for a lot of plants. Well, specially modified swines could save hundreds of lives, as well as get a special peek inside the research farms raising gene-edited pigs, whose organs are expected to be used in studies of animal to human transplants as soon as next year. Fox News' Deborah Valentine takes a closer look.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Researchers in Virginia are growing modified pigs whose organs could be used to help bridge the large gap in human donors.
Ultimately, the future would be is that you wouldn't have to go, on an organ transplant list.
According to the Health Resources and Services Administration, there are more than 103,000 people on the National Transplant Waiting List. About 17 of those people die every day while holding out for their turn.
This is the culmination, of decades of research.
Because the human body can reject organs from other species, scientists at Revivicor have been genetically changing genes inside its pigs to make them more suitable for people.
This is a 10-gene pig, so this pig has 10 genetic modifications, has 4 pig genes inactivated, and has 6 human genes.
Teams then clone pigs with the altered genes so they can have a steady supply.
The embryos come here, surrogate sows come in, we do the embryo transfer surgery, and then they go back into one of these barns and gestate until clone pigs are born.
Nearby, researchers at United Therapeutics are also busy at work. These animals are under tight security. Their food gets disinfected, and the water and air they consume faces tougher filtration standards than what's required for people. The company is aiming to produce roughly 125 pig organs a year for clinical trials in the near future.
The FDA is now realizing there's a body of evidence that says this is going to work.
Deborah Valentine, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:44 now on this Monday morning. A live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Got still some patchy fog out there, but we're beginning to progressively see some improvement. Our camera 7th in range line, again looking better. Clear skies out there. MoDOT camera 20th in range line looking fairly good as well. And still down in Neosho, still a little bit on the cloudy side. Still got that fog, especially out there if you look to the west here from the MoDOT camera 6059 down there. Still some patchy fog, but again, things are beginning to improve on the fog tracker. So again, aside from Bentonville, right now, just about everybody reporting at least even just slightly reduced visibilities, but even Miami, for example, still the lowest out there, 5.2, but earlier they were down to just over 3 miles of visibility. So again, we are beginning to see some improvements, and that fog expected to continue to burn off here in the next, 20, 30 minutes or so out there. Should be done long before 9. Future track today, again, showing an isolated shower or two. The chance, though, is less than 10%. I think the majority of us are going to remain dry today. Then as we head into our Tuesday, especially by Tuesday afternoon, we'll actually see slightly better chances. As you can see, for a few isolated pop-up showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. But again, still very isolated out there for our Tuesday. And by the evening, late evening hours, any of that is gone. And Wednesday, though, is when we're going to start to see things change a bit as we start to see temperatures get a little hotter. They're going to be seasonably hot, but as you can see, we're getting up around normal. We should be right around the low 90s out there, 90, 91, and by Wednesday afternoon, a good number of us starting to reach that point. So it's going to start to feel hot again, but at least it's not going to be oppressively hot. We're going to be seasonably hot, which we'll still take. 62 in Joplin right now. The wind is calm. Visibility at the airport's at 6 miles. Around the area, we've still got a number of 60s. Jay, the warm spot at 70, but we've lost the 50s, it looks like. We're back in the low, mid, and upper 60s. So again, our average low is about 70, so we're still, for the most part, below that this morning. We'll stay that way for a little longer, and then, of course, once the sunshine starts to really heat up out there, we'll make the upper 70s by 11 o'clock. Just a few clouds here and there, and then we'll see clouds increase a bit. Yeah, that's why we've got that less than 10% chance of a shower for maybe 2 of us out there, and we're going to go low, mid-80s. So our average high again, low 90s. We're still going to be below that today. As we head into the evening hours, the skies will begin to clear. It'll be mostly clear by 10, low 70s. Clear skies overnight, but we could deal with another round of patchy fog late tonight into tomorrow morning. So do keep that in mind if you're traveling early or late, that we could still see some reduced visibilities, and we'll fall back again below normal into the mid-60s. Below normal temperatures, though, are going to start to go away, but we're thankfully not going to just escalate in heat. We're just going to get to about where we should be for this time of year. We'll go mid-80s tomorrow, upper 80s Wednesday. Then we see the low 90s return. Few isolated thunderstorm chances on Thursday and Friday. Our weekend, again, it's going to be hot, but seasonably hot, low 90s with sunny skies out there. We'll stay in the low 90s heading into next week. We'll see another round of maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm by next Tuesday. So again, not bad. It's going to heat up, but at least it's going to be right where we should be for this time of year. That's a check of your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, you know how sometimes a jingle gets stuck in your brain? Well, it can get deep in there.
One Iowa grandmother pulled out a really old one that got plenty of attention. Jordan Bear has the story.
For 97-year-old Helen Ernst of Bloomfield, Iowa, it was an ordinary November day. After coming home with groceries, she needed to get the attention of her daughters, Allison and Shelley. As she was putting away her goods, she reached for a can of evaporated milk. Then she reached for something deep in her memory, a slogan.
and I couldn't get their attention, and I was putting groceries away, and I had this can of carnation milk in my hand, and I repeated that slogan. They about fell off their chairs, but...
What's the slogan, you ask? Better hold on to your chairs. It's as off color as the milk in the can.
Carnation milk, the best in the land, comes in a tin with a red and white band. No to pull, no hay to pitch, just punch 2 holes in the son of a...
This video, recorded by Allison, has racked up almost 2 million likes on TikTok. The slogan comes from an old contest held by the company that makes carnation milk. While the slogan didn't win back then, it's surely getting attention now. So much so, the people at Carnation came across the video and sprang into action.
We appreciate you so much for bringing it back to life and bringing a smile to so many people's faces that we'd love to reach out to you, sponsor your Thanksgiving dinner this year, and give you $5,000, which was the amount of the original contest prize.
The company also flew her grandkids in from across the country to celebrate Thanksgiving, as far away as California and Florida.
Are you looking for me? Yeah.
When the video first got noticed by the people at Carnation, they said they would, among other things, fix the sidewalk outside of Helen's home, since she likes to do a lot of walking. Ernst tells me they got it done quick, putting it all together by the time it reached Thanksgiving. Helen and her family have also been making various recipes for Carnation and sharing them online. When she's not doing that, she's either tending to her sizable garden or telling you her joke of the day.
I have an announcement to make. Helen Hunt has found a wallet. So if you have lost a wallet, you'll have to go to Helen Hunt for it.
It's that sharp wit and energy that makes Grandma Helen so lovable to millions across the country.
And Ernst isn't done supporting her favorite evaporated milk. She recently helped promote a contest at a county fair to find a winning recipe using the product.
Now, I was just thinking back, a lot of car dealerships around here had those catchy jingles, Griffith and Neosho, the old Breedlove and Parsons, and then my favorite, the Continental Auto Mall, East 32nd Street, 1 block east of Range Line, with the little da-da.
You nailed it.
None of them nearly as colorful as what she recited, but they do get stuck in your brain.
They really do.
They really do.
And
now, all of you folks at home, you're probably now recalling these songs, and now they're going to be stuck in your head. So happy Monday. And as you're thinking back to these old jingles, let's take a look one more time at the fog tracker out there. Still some patchy fog, but again, conditions gradually improving. Just make sure you're slowing down, giving yourself time to get where you're going out there. Future track heading into today, a less than 10% chance of maybe an isolated shower or two. We're going to remain relatively dry. Temperatures will remain below normal this morning today, and they're still below normal this morning as we're hanging out low, mid, and upper 60s. We'll have one more look at your forecast, not so many jingles, and the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Southeast Kansas firefighters were alerted to a house fire on Northwest 10th Street yesterday afternoon. As firefighters arrived, the 2-story home already had flames coming through the roof. Shortly after firefighters arrived, they witnessed the front portion of the house collapse. The family was not home at the time of the fire and no injuries to the firefighters. The Humboldt Police Department held a bicycle safety course on Saturday. This comes after children were observed not being safe when riding their bikes on the streets. The course taught attendees how to be cautious on roads and how to interact with traffic. Completion of the course earned a certificate and free helmet.
And we've got another below average day out there. Still warm though, partly cloudy skies, low mid 80s across the area. Skies will begin to clear as we head through the evening hours and be clear overnight. That opens the door though for some additional patchy dense fog. So keep that in mind if you're heading out late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Isolated shower or two possible tomorrow. Most of us still dry. More thunderstorm chances Thursday and Friday. Temperatures heating up but seasonably hot as we go back into the low 90s. Got a great weekend out there. Maybe some additional rain chances next Tuesday.
Not a bad week for summer, I would say.
Not at all.
Alrighty. Well, fans of the Kelsey Brothers podcast, New Heights, you can now enjoy some of their favorite cereals. General Mills has created Kelsey Mix Cereal, a blend of Travis's and Jason's 4 favorite cereals: Honey Nut Cheerios, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Lucky Charms, and Reese's Puffs.
Cereal fans can buy 4 different limited edition Kelsey's Pick collectible boxes, which feature the brothers on the packaging. Travis and Jason revealed their favorite cereals on their podcast, springing General Mills into action to capitalize on the Kelsey craze. And got one blend out there. It's got 3 different cereals in one. It was Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and the Reese's Puffs.
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty good. I think that's an interesting combination.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Reese's Puffs in and of itself is a great combination. And you just put those marshmallows in there with the Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's going to be pretty good.
Even better. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good into your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.